Shout out is going to Area Scouts and our CEO, Lance Baldwin. He's been unbelievably supportive, has empowered me to do whatever I need to do to be the most successful athlete I can be for this Olympic Games.
Hey everyone, I get started here in just about 2 minutes. And any questions anyone has, there are 782 of you in here. So any questions, just put them in the Q&A and I will get to them in the order kind of you give them to me. So if you think of a question, throw it in there so I can try to get to it. I don't get to all of them, but I will answer the ones I don't get. I send to the operations team and they'll answer them through email. But I will try to get to most of them tonight. So my name is Lance for anyone that is for the first time on here tonight. With this many people, we're up over 820 now. So I'm guessing at least 100 of you are probably current evaluators. And a lot of new people tonight. I could tell by the influx of new questions I got. So I am going to just use these first 5 slides to just give an overhead view of what Apex is. Area Scouts has been around since 2012, 2011. But we haven't been doing assessments since 2020 is when we launched the platform. So we've been doing them about, a little over 5 years. And Apex just came to us as a national program to roll out the Apex assessment. And I think I finally summed it up in about 2 or 3 slides that I think you'll all appreciate. A guest star last night, I kept him on here. Jarvis, if you missed it last night, go watch the replay. Jarvis was awesome last night from the Baltimore Ravens. So Apex assessment. What is the Apex assessment? I don't say this enough, what the term Apex even means. So it's Athlete Performance Evaluation Index. I said, well, how come it isn't APEI, not APEX? So their definition was the X at the end is the what they call the X factor. It's the data that we're collecting, or I should say you're collecting as evaluators, that you all get paid to collect this data. You get athletes assigned to you by area and by sport. So if you're new and you're interested in coming on board, it'll be by sport, by area. We're bringing one person in to each area, let them do assessments, take the assignments in that area for the next season. And then if they're happy with us, we're happy with them, then we'll expand on those areas and let them or you take on more sports and a larger area. The X factor to them, these are variables that we need to find out through you. This is data that we're collecting through you that's submitted to Apex. And the X factor, as they call it, the X on Apex, is that data that is ultimately going to dictate the corrective measures or the prescriptions. So the Apex group is a collaborative group of sports professionals, scouts, recruiters, at the college level, high school level. There's 8 college ADs, high school ADs involved in this program. And they're basically rolling out mandatory protocols at the high school level now, eventually collegiate level, that will serve the same purpose that the concussion protocols in Pop Warner did. It's to educate the coaches, parents, kids on the dangers of what we're facing right now. We got 33 million injuries per year in youth sports. There's only 75 million kids. 33 million injuries. Obviously, something tragically wrong. It keeps increasing every single year. And they finally have been kind of key phrasing this. And it took a while before they did, as an epidemic. And it's clearly way past that. So the X factor on index is what you see up on the screen. I'll read it. This is kind of the technical side of it, but then I'm going to show you the breakdown on the slides. So it's a composite statistics that combine multiple data points to provide comprehensive data aggregation initiative that is designed to combat the current health crisis in youth sports. So I'm going to show you how this all breaks down. So Apex generates more than just assessment scores. It actually generates the prescriptions, which is what we have been doing from a health initiative side on Area Scouts with our movement assessment and strength and conditioning. So these are their proprietary assessments. However, when they came to us because of our software. We've been building this software is well in excess of over $10 million invested in the software that houses all of this, that runs all these corrective measures, takes all the assessment scores. The AI that's being built into this right now is second to none. So they wanted to be able to use our software platform. They also wanted to be able to use our team. We've got over 3,000 coaches worldwide, every sport, neuro coaches, mental coaches, nutrition coaches, mental performance, mental health, you name it, sports medicine doctors, strength and conditioning coaches, PTs, chiropractors, any aspect that is sports related or athlete related, we have in our network over 3,000, again, not just here in the US, but worldwide. So they knew that they could take advantage of our software, take advantage of our team to get this Apex assessment out to over 30,000 high schools. That is the goal. There's 33,000 high schools in the country, and their goal is to get into the majority of them in the next 4 to 5 years. So on our movement side that we've been running forever, so that you kind of know a little background on us, that's been developed by Dr. Anzillo. We brought him over from the Atlanta Falcons of the NFL. It is a NFL professional caliber movement assessment that was designed, that we paid Dr. Anzillo to design for us.
Hey everyone, my name is Anthony Anzillo, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to discuss Area Scouts with you. I've spent several years working closely alongside Dr. James Andrews, and I've worked with 3 different professional football teams and 1 college football team as a team physical therapist traveling with a team. So I've seen and used a lot of different assessment techniques and tools and have worked with a lot of athletes. I can confidently say that the BASE assessment is the most comprehensive athletic assessment that I've ever seen or used.
Dr. Anzillo's education comes from the gentleman that's right next to him. That's Dr. James Andrews. I'm only showing this to kind of give you an idea of who is behind all of these assessments, who's behind the corrective measures. And again, another reason why Apex chose us. Like this is how we chose to build this platform from the ground up, is with individuals that have reached the highest level, not only in their sport, but as you can see in any profession related to sports. That is the caliber of people we have on the movement side. So we implemented our beliefs. Our platform was built as a health initiative. We wanted to come into this industry with the best team possible to lower injuries. So when Apex came to us, they came to us with wanting to do the same, but they wanted to be able to mandate some of these protocols at the high school level and collegiate level. And of course, I'm all on board with that. I think it's amazing. I saw how far Pop Warner's come with their concussion protocols and how that's helped save so many concussions. That's what we're going to do between ACL injuries, MCL injuries, stress fractures that we're seeing climb like never before. ACL injuries in girls are the highest they've ever been in the history. Tommy John surgery. We're seeing kids 10, 11, 12 years old going under the knife for Tommy John surgery. It is absolute insanity what's going on out there right now. And that is what collectively Apex, Area Scouts, and our team, and all of you are here for. And if you're not here for that, definitely in the wrong place, because that's what the rest of us are here for. And it is to get these assessments out there, collect the data. That data that you collect, it's going to be all of you, that determines what is working, what is preventing the injuries with the best success rate, and ultimately will be what determines what these protocols are that get instilled at the high school level. And again, next task after that will be the collegiate level. So that is movement, strength and conditioning. Rich Delatry, he was in the NBA, with the NBA. He was the very first strength and conditioning coach ever hired by the National Basketball Association.
Hi, I'm Rich Delatry, National Director of Strength and Conditioning for Area Scouts. I'm privileged to be here in this position to give you some insight into our philosophy, vision, and method for strength and conditioning for athletes. I was a 3-sport high school athlete and 2-sport college athlete. I played football and track at Villanova and Louisiana Tech. Afterward, I had the opportunity to sign in the USFL the first time around for the league. Following my playing career, I began my coaching career as a football coach at Ole Miss. 2 years later at Ole Miss, I became the head strength and conditioning coach for the university for all intercollegiate sports. In 1986, I was hired by the New Jersey Nets of the NBA, becoming the first ever strength and conditioning coach in the league's history. I coached in the NBA for 24 years, also becoming the first strength and conditioning coach to become an assistant coach. I coached with New Jersey Nets and the Cleveland Cavaliers in the NBA. I also coached in the NFL with New York Giants as a strength and conditioning consultant. I've been fortunate enough to have the opportunity to coach all over the world. What I developed for Area Scouts is a system of athletic development that I believe is the safest, most complete, and practical program offered. It has been battle-tested at the highest levels with a multitude of success. Our process at Area Scouts begins with an evaluation of your physical capabilities with the base assessment. From this assessment, we prescribe the proper corrective measures for any problem areas you may have. These corrective exercises will then be combined with a strength conditioning program which is specific to your present situation and needs. The strength conditioning program will emphasize all aspects of athleticism in each workout. The building of an athlete comes from many different facets of training: soft tissue work, flexibility, balance, foot speed, movement skills, core strength, and total body strengthening. Each of these components are worked on in every workout. Our interactive format allows you to give input each workout, giving us information that will perfectly design your workouts for your exact situation. Area Scouts prides itself on the fact that we will not skip steps in player development.
Dr. Pensivy, a massive list of professional athletes that trust him. So again, when all these individuals are being trusted by hundreds of millions of dollars worth of athletes, I like to think that we're taking care of our kids with the education that they have, collected with the education that you all have. So that is from the movement and then strength and conditioning side. Apex assessment will take about 90 minutes to do a initial assessment on athletes that will cover these areas. On top of, while the athletes are online, they will go through an online assessment. So all the assessments I just mentioned will be in person with you. You'll meet up to 10 athletes at a time that get assigned to you. You'll run those assessments, about 90 minutes to run 10 athletes through that portion. This portion, which is coming straight from Apex, is nutrition, neuro, mental. Nutrition, sometimes a tough thing to get kids on board with. Do need the help of the parents for sure. We are going to, as a collaborative effort, try to make sure parents understand all the aspects of this. That, a lot of parents, if you ask them how many injuries there are in youth sports right now, they would give you an astronomically low number. They'd probably say 1 million, 2 million. No one will ever say 33 million unless they actually know what's going on out there. So to be able to educate them on how bad this is important, because in a lot of cases, even some of the coaches that are working with the parents or the kids don't know those numbers. And so therefore the parents wouldn't know. So educating the parents, nutrition, neuro, mental. So I say mental, that's mental performance. We're also addressing issues like mental anxiety, depression, things that we also are going to have the parents and coaches being able to recognize some of these signs. And I go into this every presentation, and I don't want to go too deep in it again, but if you do not think that last one is important, I can tell you there's a lot of kids that are no longer here today because of that. A lot of people don't understand how tied in sports is to that mental health. And when kids belong to sports, having that camaraderie, having a team, a lot of parents, again, aren't present at home. A lot of kids don't have parents that are parenting at home. They don't have that support system. In a perfect world, I hope all of you had the best parents in bringing up, and I hope you're the best parents to all your kids. But the fact of the matter is that's not real life. That's not the majority out there. It's a lot of kids are hopeless and don't have anywhere to go, and sports is really their lifeline. So when they don't get better and they get older and they don't make JV, they don't make varsity, you think it's just about them playing a game. It's a lot more than that for some of these kids. Half of these kids are leaving sports. I think it's 52% of all kids leave sports before they even get to the JV varsity level in high school. So to keep these kids in sports is super important, not just for performance, not just for, to go to college, but also just kind of to have that structure, confidence, everything else that we teach in sports. So on the performance side, and you'll notice I put this last, and I know that's not what parents want. If you were to tell parents, go ahead and put this slideshow together, this would be slide number 1. For the most part, most of the parents would be right here. They want to know how fast their kid can throw. They're having dreams already at 8 years old that their kids are going pro. And some of the coaches that are lining their pockets, not all of them, but a lot of coaches that are feeding parents like, oh yeah, your kid's a D1, your kid's going to go pro, because they know the nicer they are to these parents' kids, the more they're going to get paid. That, again, not always the case, but I see so much of it, I have to say it. It's the elephant in the room. Same with like travel programs. Actually, it was such a breath of fresh air. Talked to a travel program today. First one, and again, I don't know them all, so I'm not saying there aren't more. First one I've ever talked to, I've talked to thousands, that is doing routine movement assessments, actually spending real time training, development, fundamentals, strength and conditioning, and then the games come last. That is the same philosophy I have right up here. It's foundation, movement, strength and conditioning, all those intangibles that were on that last list, and then performance is last. Because if you don't have that foundation with everything else, this really doesn't matter. Every one of our assessments has been built by someone who's reached the ultimate level. Does that, again, mean that none of you can add any input? Absolutely not. So we want this to be a collaborative effort. Everything we know on our side with our team, everything you know, to make sure that these assessments are all done with consistency. And the training that we do on the platform is not to train any of you that have experience coaching on how to coach. We want to train everyone on how to collect the data we need and the data, most importantly, Apex needs now, on a consistent basis. That's the only purpose of the training, because otherwise we're going to have skewed numbers if everyone's doing it a different way. And that's it. And I'll go one step further. If there is anything in these assessments that you say, hey, Lance, I've been coaching for 30 years. I feel like I'm one of the best. I love it. I love the confidence. Not a big fan of ego, but I love confidence. Fine line between the two, but they are completely different. But, you've been doing something long enough and you know what works. I'd love to hear it. I love constructive criticism. I love the good, the bad, whatever it may be. We don't know everything, and I don't think anyone does. All we can do is promise the parents with certainty, because we've already seen the results from these programs, these assessments and the correctives, that we will give their kids the best chance to stay healthy, and they will 100% hit their athletic ceiling with us and with you. That athletic ceiling is going to look different for every kid, as you know, but they will. Nothing's going to be holding these kids back, because we address everything. As I mentioned, Apex's motto, we are prescriptions to the issues that kids are facing. That is what we want to hang our hat on, with a health initiative being priority one. Just to simplify, like how easy assessments are. Yes, I said 90 minutes takes you to do those first assessments. You get paid $79 a kid. They get assigned to you in your area, in your sport. You have to pick your sport. You have to pick your area. If it's open, some areas are not open anymore. Obviously, we've been having a lot of people come on board. So as soon as a sport and a postal code are taken, it's gone, unless they retire, unless they move, which happens, then you can go on a waiting list. Those assessments are all scheduled on the platform. I'm going to show you that. I'm going to get the important stuff passed, and then I'll show it at the end for anyone who wants to hang out. You schedule the times you're available. So if you're available on Saturday mornings and Monday afternoons, just picking random days and times, then those will be the times that those kids get assigned to you. So they'll have a couple open spots to choose those times. Is that a perfect science? No. Depending on what sport you're coaching, some of these kids are going to say, hey, that's our, Saturday mornings, our practice day. We can't, that's not even an option. So then you just make the adjustment. It's a lot of common sense in this for sure. Assessments are done. You can do them right. Download the mobile app. I always suggest that for anyone that's just got a tiny bit of tech knowledge. That's really all you need. The app is really tailored to making the assessments easy to score while you're out there on the phone or on an iPad. And I already can see the comments. Sorry, about 100 comments about Android. Yes, Android's coming in January. I had to take care of myself first. Sorry, I have an iPhone. We have 26 developers now, a couple new AI developers coming on board, and I do a lot of the testing myself. I've been doing assessments ever since this platform was born, and I'm a big user experience person. So when I see something that doesn't look right from a user experience side, I like to kind of be the one that proofs that. This is a base assessment. It will take you a little longer for the first time you run an assessment. When I said 90 minutes, you might as well count on 2 hours just for the first dozen, because you haven't done the format before, not because of your experience or anything. But once you get used to it, you'll be able to knock them out in 90 minutes, up to 10 athletes at a time. You will meet with us in person after you do your background check. It takes about 24 hours to do a background check. Everyone has to do a background check. I want to make sure that that's clear. I always get people that say, do I have to do it? I did it through the police department, or I did it through the school, or whatever. We just have too much, 3,000 people Keep in mind, 3,000 coaches renewing their background checks every 2 years. So on top of all of you coming on board all at once, we have the existing coaches that we not only do a background check, but we do make sure to look and see if they are who they say they are. We've seen some crazy things out there where people try to use other people's IDs and just, you know why they weren't using their real names, because they're not supposed to be around kids, had to remove them from the platform. So again, we spend a lot of time with that just to make sure our kids are safe. That's priority number one. The old school coaches, you see the clipboard up there. I appreciate it. If you want to do all your assessments and scoring on the clipboard, you can print out those sheets right on the platform. They're right under the PDF section. Stick them on your clipboard, but you just got to enter those scores later because Apex needs those numbers. Those numbers that Apex collects are not personal information on the kids. You know, we encrypt everything on the platform. The only one that is privy to athletes' information is you, the ones that are working with those kids, the parents of those kids, and the kids. That is it. So when we send data to Apex for these protocols that they're developing, they do not get the kid's name. They don't get the kid's phone number. They don't get the kid's address. They get physical attributes of the kids because that's factored into this. You know, date of birth, no names, and they get their assessment scores. Sponsors, I mentioned. So when I say sponsors, I'm going to just give you an example of one that just came on, was Chipotle. So it's pretty easy to get local businesses to sponsor kids. Chipotle, these companies that come on, these local businesses, when you say, hey, you're sponsoring kids to stay healthy in your community, it's a big advantage for them. Not so much Chipotle because they're Chipotle, but a lot of local mom and pop businesses to be able to be, you know, the only dentist in the community that's supporting kids' health, youth athletes' health. You know, they say for a fact, they hear parents went there because they saw their name on something that we were promoting, again, with the health initiative. And that's why they chose that dentist because they were sponsoring local athletes. So it is an advantage to the businesses. And like I said, every one of my kids are sponsored now. For anyone that is coming on board, December 1st is when, well, every first of the month, Apex and our software talk to each other through an API. They upload all of the proprietary trainings, assessments, updates on assessments on the first of every month. So that means when you're on your platform, which I'll show you what it looks like after I'm done, you will see those updates every first of every month. Right now, that's what we're going to do every first. But eventually, we'll go to the 1st and the 15th as this thing starts to really snowball, which will be, this is our first season in the spring with Apex. By the second season, we'll probably be doing 2 API calls a month. December 8th is the next Apex team meeting. That's when the whole group gets together. And typically we'll be going over the API updates. January starts meetings with our sports medicine team. And then February 16th is the first phase of the assessments. We are doing a annual meeting every year now that's going to be sponsored by Apex. We're going to do this one out in Vegas. So everyone is going to be invited. It's going to be in August of 2026. It'll be at Area 15. How fitting. That was not on purpose either. That was completely random. And then this has been something I've always thought of doing with Area Scouts, just because I'm going in a million directions. I just never really could put it together. And of course, I talked about it with Apex as kind of a, they did it without me knowing. They put it together kind of as a thank you to me and a thank you for us taking on this partnership. And they put together the whole awards for 2027. So that means the season of 2027. Area Scouts going to sponsor 3 of the awards, and then Apex going to sponsor 5 of the awards. The athletes receive scholarship money if they win this award. And then the coaches have some really cool prizes. So if you are the coach with the number 1 highest number of athletes that come on board in 2027. That'll be the Impact Shield Award. The coach with the lowest average injury percentage will be the Health Initiative Shield. There is an actual number attached to you as a coach.
I want to talk to you for a minute about Area Scouts, a platform I got involved with that you really want to consider getting involved with also. So a few main points. The first of which, look, you're trying to get kids better. For the most part, anyone who's coaching, that's your goal, to get kids better, to develop them. From a business perspective, Area Scouts can give you a source of income every month. This is the only platform that truly grades a coach. Every coach thinks they're the best, and look, having confidence is great, but how do you know? Who knows who's the best? And Area Scouts grades the coaches on who actually is developing these players that have these great metrics. Or someone who didn't have great numbers and now they do. So that is a huge piece to the puzzle for me, because then you take resumes and egos out of it, and it's really about who's the best at developing players. And the other piece, developing players that go along with that, grading the coaches, is it's the only platform that measures and grades with a number how someone moves, human movement. So it can prevent and predict injury, or at least likelihood of performance and or injury. I mean, there's nothing out there like that. You can have two coaches assessing someone, but if one coach knows from a movement perspective why that happened, that's a coach you're going to want to go to over one that can't explain it. You want to take a serious look at Area Scouts.
For the athletes that have completed the assessments and the corrective measures, that gives an accurate injury risk percentage on that athlete. And I can tell you through the assessments, just from the movement and strength and conditioning side, I've never seen them stay the same, and I've never seen them go up. Those injury risk percentages have always gone down. So when you think about that, and you can give a parent not, I'm going to make your kid better. Well, great. That's what everyone wants and everyone assumes you're going to do because you're a coach. But when you can say to a parent, listen, I've lowered your son's risk of injury percentage by 11%. Sounds pretty cool. It's even cooler when you were the reason that athlete avoided an injury that took them out for their senior year or their junior year, or you helped prevent a Tommy John surgery. Like this, combined with Apex's mandatory protocols, it's like the perfect storm coming together here. That the numbers that we have on injury risk percentage, performance increase percentage, and I'm going to show you what is attached to each one of these variables that goes into this, together with Apex gathering the data that you collect, will 100% lower this 33 million injuries. And it's not going to happen with 10 of us. It's going to happen with, 3,000 of us all out there working with these athletes, because there are 75 million kids out there. And it is going to take 2, 3, 4, possibly 5 years to see the final result from this. But it's a lot better than having 50 million injuries in 5 years. That is how impactful this can be. We can cut these injuries down to a third of what is out there right now. We all have these stories, but a sophomore, I coach high school softball. She's on my high school team, and she went down to ACL injury, complete tear. So she's done for my whole season for high school. And her sister's a senior this year. So this was the only chance, because she played on the JV team last year. This was the only chance this season for her and her sister to play on the same team in high school. And if you resonated with it, you know how important that is. That was something that I know for a fact that those parents and those girls were looking forward to for years, because they've been talking about it. And now here it's ripped away. Can we save every ACL injury? No. Could that one have been avoided? There's no perfect science, but the assessments and the protocols that we're developing here, and the ones that we already have, do reduce it. So it, maybe we couldn't save her, but we can save 10 others, 20 others, 100 others, millions of others. And that's the goal here, because we're not going to cover them all. And then increased performance percentage is going to be another award given to the same thing. It's the average of all your athletes that completed the programs, and there'll be a number on it that you can honestly say, my athletes improved 26% in this year overall as an average. And I know it's cool to say, oh, this kid that I coached, got recruited, or this kid that I coached got drafted to the pros. But at the end of the day, in a lot of those cases, not all of them, those kids were going anyway. Like, to get to those levels, as we all know, it's someone, you were born with it, first of all. You have to have that, as we all know. So I'm not discrediting anyone's coaching, don't get me wrong, because I've had those athletes too. I know that they would have done great without me. I wasn't the factor. But when you can say, hey, I've lowered this injury risk by X percentage, like, yeah, you're the one that saved them from injuries. And if they were an elite athlete and they were going to go D1 and go pro, you're the one that enabled them to still get there. Maybe not the one that got them there, but they wouldn't have gotten there if they had suffered one of these injuries, which it's a lot of missed opportunities, a lot of missed time that they could have had if there were some protocols put in place. And then from a athlete standpoint, Apex, like I said, we'll do a voted Apex Athlete of the Year for 13s, 14s, 15s, 16s, and 17s. So we're going to 5 different awards, which will be attached to scholarships with those awards. So it's going to be pretty cool. Again, that's a little ways out, 2027, but you know how fast time goes. We're going to be there before we know it. And then what the platform looks like. If anyone wants to throw some questions in there, you can. I'm just going to roll through kind of some screenshots. So 174 athletes this is a profile. I did a screenshot. This is a natural evaluator we have. And yes, he's working with 174 kids. He's been in our program for 4 years. It took him about 20 months, he said, to get up to that number of athletes. So I always say that because I want real expectations. I cannot stand some of these things online where they're like, oh yeah, you're going to, be working with 100 kids in 30 days. Like, it's not happening unless you know 100 kids. They're coming on board already. You're not getting 100 kids in 30 days. Apex is complementary way for more athletes to come into your athlete development network. This particular coach, he started with doing our movement assessment, which is called BASE. That's biomechanics, athleticism, sequence, and endurance. And he started with one travel program, didn't do anything but word of mouth from that travel program. Those kids telling other kids, so on, so on. Did zero marketing, zero advertising, but it did take him 20 months. But he now has 174 kids from that one team. It's one of those things where I know once all of you are doing these Apex assessments, it's going to absolutely blow up as soon as you're starting to do them because it's different. It looks different when parents walk by the field and they see it. It's not just the routine practice where every kid's doing the exact same thing. In a lot of cases, they're doing the exact same thing the wrong way and just over and over, which drives me crazy. But they actually see you working on individual corrective measures with individual kids because that is what athlete development is fixing the things that are wrong with the individual kid, not just marching them all out there and having them do the same thing every day. I love repetition, but only after my kids know what they're doing, then I'll do repetition. You can schedule the times you want to be booked, so it's not anything that ever interferes. I get people that say, oh, can I do this full time? No, you can't do it full time. It's impossible. Kids are in school. So unless you live in an area that kids don't go to school Monday through Friday, you're not doing this full time. It's just not a real thing. But I mean, you could still, working with 174 kids. So Brian's got these 174 kids in a $99 a month program for his non-pitchers. He's got them in a $149 a month program for his pitchers. I don't know how many pitchers he has versus others, but you can do the math. This is all he does. So with 174 kids, this can be the only thing you're doing. Explore tab on the profile is all your setup, your trainings, your resources, professionals. So this is a portion of the platform that confuses sometimes, and I get it. It's this whole concept of what we're doing. Although you could find the pieces, all the pieces we do, you can find somewhere. It's just there's not anywhere that's all collective into one software platform. So I always use myself as an example. Again, we do all sports. So there's I talk about softball and baseball because it's mine. Softball, I am a great hitting coach. I am not a great pitching coach. I'm not a pitching coach at all. I can't even say I'm not great. I'm just not one at all. So I will, if one of my girls is struggling with pitching, I have 2 D1. They don't have to be D1. They just have to know what they're doing. But I happen to have 2 D1 softball pitchers, and they are my go-to for pitching. So when I run, say, a movement assessment, and then I want to do a pitching and hitting camp, I do the hitting, and I invite them to come do the pitching, and I compensate them. So based on that, you can have these professionals you see up on the screen. Say you're a softball coach, and you don't know pitching, you don't know fielding, and you don't know hitting. It's going to be a rough season, but say you're a catching coach for softball. So you can have a pitching coach, fielding coach, hitting coach. Those coaches that run assessments because you can have them run the sport specific assessment side. So there's also sport specific pitching, hitting, fielding, catching assessments with corrective measures. So they can also run assessments under your platform, your brand, your name. And you can put this under your brand also. This is not about promoting Apex and Area Scouts at all. If you want everything under your brand, you can do it under your brand. So they do their pitching, hitting, fielding. They also get the same numbers that I talked about before. So they will, if they want them, because you can turn these on and off too if you want, they will get a number of performance increase that the kids they worked with. It's a really cool thing that I've never seen anywhere else in the sports industry that actually puts a number on the coach. So we're all used to some of the ridiculous stuff you see out there, like the top, 5-year-old, the number one ranked 5-year-old in the state. Like I've seen that. We put numbers on the coaches you work with, your team. Like you have a team of professionals with you. That could be nutritionist. That could be a strength and conditioning coach. That could be anything you want. So when you go to a parent and you say, this is my team, and they got injury risk preventions of 2%, 3% on their names, and performance increases by 70%, 80% on their names, and you got a whole team of them on top of you, it's a number that doesn't lie. And those numbers are on their kids too. So the percentages are on them. So they're not ranked the number one kid. They're ranked on how much they improve and how much injury prevention percentage is on them, like what risk of injury is on them. And when you keep lowering that in a kid, it all of a sudden becomes more important to these parents than the performance. And the reason why is because they've never seen it before. They're used to just their kid going down to a catastrophic injury and they're done. Now they actually see a number that is correlating to them not getting injured. It is the kids with the lowest percentages that do not get injured. So there's a real number tied to all this. And so when the parents see these other athletes that go down to injuries that are not paying attention to that number, guess what? The light bulb goes on. Oh, this is a problem. That's what needs to happen on a national basis. And we've waited too long. We're at 33 million injuries a year. This should have been done 10 years ago. That is what Apex Area Scouts now has perfected. And with AI, we've just brought on 3 AI developers. There will be nothing that compares to this. And the numbers that we get to develop these protocols will be proven methods and preventive correctives to stop what's going on. And we're not going to save them all again, but it is going to stop what's the madness, the epidemic, if you will. Not only is there a percentage on injury risk and on performance, which obviously performance is important, but mental wellness through assessments they do online. So parents can actually see as kids go through these assessments, and some of these assessments, the kids will never know what they're answering. Like they won't put it together, but it will let those parents know, hey, your son is or your daughter's really struggling with anxiety lately in the last quarter, or depression lately. Things that a lot of coaches, not all, I'm not going to put anyone in the same basket. There's a lot of coaches just don't care. Like I just want to coach my team. I want to win the trophy. Like if the kid's depressed, I'm just going to, probably give them an attitude. Say, oh, you got a bad attitude today. It's not what they need to hear. And I know this is not coaching your team, but there are some things that are more important. And when you can pick up on it quick, and when the platform can recognize it, and then the parents can be educated on it, they can actually get some help. And you won't see some of these stories that you see on social media where these kids aren't here anymore. And obviously, injury prevention will be second in line, making sure that these kids don't go down to injuries that end their careers. I had a 32-year-old, I always tell this story, 32-year-old, do it quick, 32-year-old Alabama, obviously D1 recruit, football, full ride scholarship, was with a strength and conditioning coach that the parents hired towards the end of his senior year. Again, was going to be a starter his whole career at Alabama. Caused a major stress fracture. The guy was not qualified. This was proven. The guy did not have the credentials, and had him overtraining, and everything he could have done wrong with this athlete, he did wrong trying to. Unfortunately, what happens out there, he knew he was going D1. He knew he was a full ride scholarship. He wanted his name on him. You know, he wanted to say, "Oh, I was his strength and conditioning coach," even though he was only with him for about 3 months. He wanted to put his tag on him, like I'm the strength and conditioning coach that gets Alabama D1 full ride scholarships. That's what I'm seeing a lot of out there. Like this, you know, you go into facilities sometimes, you see all these pro athletes up on the wall. In a lot of cases, they just walked in the place and signed it, you know, where they did a signing day or a book day, or in a lot of cases, they didn't work out there. And if they did work out there, they came in for a month or two. It's not because of that facility. It's not because of that coach. If it is, great. And I know there's cases of that, but there's just so much of this being passed along to the parents, like these false expectations, and you know, this doesn't lie anymore. This can't lie. These are real numbers attached to these kids. So you can't, as a coach, say, "Oh, you know, yeah, you got to keep giving me $1,000 a month to work with your kid because he's going D1." Well, parent can look at these numbers and say, "No, he's not. He's not going D1." Matter of fact, his risk of injury right now is about 10% higher than the average for his age. What's going on? Now there's actually real numbers that coaches have to know what they're doing. None of this negligence, none of these people saying I got these credentials, and the nonsense is going to stop. And the 33 million injuries are going to stop, and it's going to stop here. The cream of the crop is going to rise. The coaches that have these numbers attached to their names and actually care about the well-being of these kids, not just their bank account, are going to rise to the top, and they're going to be recognized. So that's what we're trying to do here is get these kids in the hands of not only you, but anyone around you that you know is qualified, even programs and facilities. If you have a travel team around you that, like I said, I talked to one today. If that travel organization was around me, he's not. But if it was, that would be the only one I would recommend kids to, because that's where I would want my kids going. At the end of the day, I'm seeing some of these kids that parents have been in these travel programs. They're spending 50 grand, 60 grand over the course of 4 or 5 years. And the kids, the same exact talent that they were 4 or 5 years ago. They haven't gotten any better. They're just out there playing games every weekend. Again, if the parents want that, great. I don't know any parent that spends that kind of money to go watch it's like paying $1,000 a game to go watch your kid play. Academics is factored into this. Athletic ability, injury prevention, mental wellness, financial fit for the parents. If the parents do want their kids to look at schools, because it's not, I never want, this will never be a recruiting platform. We don't take money for recruiting help. If parents want to select a bunch of schools, which you see here on the right, that's a list of a bunch of schools. The data that's collected over time, and obviously the longer time that data is collected, we want the younger the better in the program. The longer that data is collected, it will give them accurate numbers on the schools that they should be applying for based on their ability and everything else, financial means of the parents. It's all factored in through, again, this is part of our AI. These kids actually know what schools if they are going to go to college, they can just pick it right by that data. And one of the coolest things, unrelated to health, is it actually is correlated to health because they have to be healthy to play, but this gives them a percentage of play opportunity at the schools that they select based on all those variables. I've been around this for a long time. I've never seen anything that was able to put a number not only on all those variables, but ultimately at the end, kid says, "I want to play. I don't want to go D1 just to be cool and be and say I'm D1. If it means going to another school that I'm going to play, and say Michigan says I got an 11% chance to play, but I can go to this other school that I didn't want to go to over Michigan, but 82% chance to play." So I'm going to answer some of these questions. We got a bunch of them. I'm going to put this link in here. So anyone that is interested, like I said, the only obligation that you have is background check, 2 years experience. And obviously your area has to be open. If your postal code and your sport's not open, you can go on a waiting list. I don't see them open often. Only time I see them open is when someone will move or they want to switch a sport. There are 292 questions. I am not going to get to those. I'm going to try to get to a bunch of them, but there's no chance I'm going to. So it's athletedevelopment.ai. Live chat, you can go right through the mobile app that you download or the browser. Support at Area Scouts hits our whole sport team. Lancet Area Scouts only goes to me, but I always tell everyone that's the only way to reach me like one-on-one. It just does take me, I get inundated. So it just takes me sometimes a couple of days to get back on that email. So if it's urgent, definitely hit support. You can go to this one too, but it's easier to go to this one. It gives you this is called a rapid link, means it lets you sign up quicker. So option A is Apex Evaluator. It'll say Apex Evaluator on it. So just click on option A, apply to become an Apex Evaluator. There is a background check. We do take about 36 hours to do the background check. So we do charge for the background. If you don't get approved, that gets automatically refunded. So we have a third-party background check company. We also do a background check on our own through social media and through the internet. But if that gets denied for any criminal reason, or background check gets denied, you automatically get a refund, and you'll get an email that says, sorry, you were not approved. So you do not pay for a background check if you're not accepted to the team. So I'll make sure everybody knows that. It's 100%. You won't even have to ask for it. Automatically does it. The system automatically refunds you. So click the Apex team, and here it'll just ask you to register an email. And then you put create password twice. So just like anything else. So email address, put in your password, And then after this screen, it's going to ask you what your sport is. So you'll pick your sport, and then you'll pick your postal code. And if it's taken, you'll see a red banner. It'll say taken. If it's not taken, it'll be green. So pretty elementary. Sport, postal code, green. That'll bring you into you'll sign an NDA that you're not going to share any of this. This is all proprietary information. As I said, we've been building this for 10 years, millions of dollars into this platform. We are not. And then you do the background check, which only asks you for the last 4 digits of your social. So it's all encrypted too, but you're not giving away any information that anyone can do anything with. So last 4 digits, your license, driver's license, and they process it in 24, 36 hours. Then you'll get a link when you get approved to onboard with myself or one of the other onboard team members. And you'll meet us and go through a few things that you need to know right off the bat, and then you're on the team. So.
To be fair, as a current player myself, since I've known Lance and I've been doing the corrective exercises myself for the last 2 seasons, this year I had the best year that I've had in 10 years. As a 34-year-old, I had the best year that I've had since I made my major league debut in 2011. So I can see firsthand that my receiving metrics for catching were the best that they've been, and my offensive metrics were the best that they've been. Blocking, excellent. Everything, all my numbers have jumped, and these are measurable metrics where I've gotten better as a 34-year-old man. Imagine what we could do with these youth players that are still in the development phase of their bodies and of their lives. Doing the things that are important and using the building blocks to build the things that are important first to give these players a great foundation to build on just inspires me, and I think it's just such a brilliant idea, and it's going to help so many people.
I've been super lucky that every year I've been in a pro league. So I currently right now play for Athletes Unlimited, and I also am on Team USA. I'm a Division I college coach, and I am so excited to be a part of Area Scouts. I love this just because I feel like I've been playing for so long, and I've had different coaching style, and I've learned a bunch of different tips that have made me the player I am today. And I love any opportunity to be able to share those insights, especially with youth players. I feel like they just have so much opportunity to grow and get better with, individualized and personal training. And this platform is just really great for that.
Sometimes people want to do it, they just don't know how. And right. I think that's what Area Scouts does give you is a plan. Mm-hmm. Because now if you really want to do it, now you have a plan and it's accessible to you now. That's something which got me interested, obviously, with Area Scouts is that's something I wish I did have. Like, I was fortunate to have a coach, but to have something with everything in it, whether it's training, nutrition, the workout, it's that's awesome for a reasonable price. And I think you can get that now, but you might have to break an arm off.
I don't want to do any of this just to make them the best baseball, softball, whatever sport they are. I want them to be set up to live a great life. And I'm 35 and I'm done my career as far as playing. I still have a lot of time left. So, if you don't get to college or if you don't, make it as far as you'd like to, whenever your career is done, you're still going to have a lot of your life left. So just giving them tools to make them the greatest athlete in person at the beginning. And then, whenever baseball ends, have them set up for after. And I strongly believe me being into this stuff that directly translates that no matter what you're doing in life.
What drew me to Area Scouts felt like, if I knew or had a platform like Area Scouts 10 years ago when I was in high school, it could have been different for me. And I think that's what's special, is that there is avenues for an athlete who was like me to know better and do better. And same with coaches. And I think that's awesome.
Where I see the evaluation process with, the Area Scouts coaches being able to actually evaluate their talent in a scouting fashion, where you can evaluate the mechanical aspect along with add some analytical metrics into an evaluation, say with a hitter or a catcher, infielder, outfielder, pitcher in baseball, I think is really important. And then these athletes will receive these evaluations from the Area Scouts.
I'm just super excited that I get to share my knowledge, because I believe that I had a really great coaching staff to make me a really great blocker. And that's kind of what I'm known for. Now I get to share that knowledge. And that's super exciting to me, because if I had this knowledge when I was coming through club in high school, when I was 14, 15, 16, like just how much better could I have been as I went through college. And now I finally am as good as I am, but what if I was better earlier? Would that have changed? So now I get to share that with young girls coming up and boys through volleyball.
I'm so excited to be joining Area Scouts, because everyone in this organization is so dedicated to helping these young kids perform at their best at a young age. But now they have everything that they need right there in front of them, and then they can go into the backyard, they can go out to the field, they can go out anywhere really and really hone in on these skills, which is I think really great.
And what attracted me to this platform, good coaching to be more accessible for young athletes, especially at the youth and developmental level. I think that is the most crucial time for kids to learn a solid mechanical foundation. And even though the mechanics won't be perfect at that age, for them to just be exposed to proper verbiage and to see proper technique, I think that'll go a long way.
And then one of the things that has been my focus with volleyball for a long time has just been growing the game and providing opportunities where there aren't any. I didn't have the opportunity to go play. I had my parents' coach, so I was around it, but I had to do a lot of the learning was just all on my own and me putting myself out there. So opportunities for players to get great feedback, which will, in the end, it's going to develop the game a lot more, because we're going to be able to get more players to understand the game more, be educated about volleyball instead of just playing the sport, playing the game.
The amount of science in our game and the training mechanisms we have, at our disposal is made, not just in baseball, in sports in general, it's made the athlete better. And so, what it's done is it's raised the bar. The bar's up here now. And so the old training methods, are becoming obsolete. And I love some of the biomechanics that goes along with it. It's a big part of what we do now. And for these guys to start picking up some of that training at 8 years old or 10 or 12, they're going to be way ahead of the game down the road, because their bodies and their athleticism is going to improve at a rate that no one could ever imagine.
And I think about, Area Scouts. Had I had something or someone like that where I could learn the fundamentals and actually, prepare me for the organized sports, I could have been that much further on my development journey. One word from the right coach, mentor, can change, an athlete's destiny. It really can. And I'm living proof of that.
For me, I look at this as like, man, Yeah, like I'll just give you my honest thoughts. This is a guy, Lance, who's got a great product, a great idea. I think he's got a good vision, and obviously, and the fact, like just with what you shared with me, dude, I really look at this as a $500 to $1 billion business, and from a value standpoint, like, dude, this is an opportunity, right? Like this is cool. I see the vision, man. I think it's a great opportunity. Use this beautiful product that you built.